I had the most chillest day today. I didn't do too much of anything except clean around the house. But advanced degrees, is it worth it? I was looking at some videos of some young educated people. Um, some of them have, just a degree, and other ones have advanced degrees. I was trying to figure out the worth. Is it worth it? Is it worth getting an advanced degree? Yeah. Some would say, yeah, it's worth it. The videos that I saw, they were saying they were saying, yeah, it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? But the one young lady, the two young ladies they both had the same degrees, but the one young lady had a master's degree and she was moving on into more schooling. And the other young lady was actually working. So they were both kind of happy with what they're doing. But the one young lady who was, moving on in education, she was pretty happy with what she's doing. They both had degrees in some type of health field, but they weren't like doctors. They're kind of like me. Mine is healthcare management. Theirs was, I forgot what it was, but it was pretty interesting. When I was watching the video, I never heard of that degree, and they were saying all the things they could do with it. But like I said, one had an advanced degree and the other one didn't. But the one who had the advanced degree wasn't working in her field. She was going on into more of the medical field, actually, like looking at being a doctor or something. I just thought that was interesting, So I've been looking at some law schools, and I called all the local law schools within, 2 or 3 miles, and the ones that are most popular, and started getting information on the LSAT. I've been listening to videos about the LSAT, and which is basically you have to take that. It's a 4-hour test that you have to take before you can get into law school. And so I was listening to that, and then you have to do all this other stuff, for your application and preparation, and then hopefully be accepted into the schools that you were looking at. Now, one school here, which is probably the most famous for law school, they said you have to have a 3.2 or something like that. So I would have to go back and take a class and raise my GPA just to get to that mark. And the other school said, we don't have a grade point average, prerequisite type of deal. So I was strongly considering them. Plus, that was a school I wanted to go to anyway, which is The Ohio State. I just always wanted a degree from The Ohio State. I live in Ohio. Everybody in the country knows, The Ohio State. Sometimes, a lot of times the school that you go to, it just helps you out. Now, I'm in a conundrum because my situation, for one, I'm older, so people don't usually look to hire 50-year-olds. I just got to face that. I'm a 50-year-old guy who just got his degree. You know what I'm saying? I don't even have a piece of paper yet. I won't get that till I walk. But I've already qualified for everything. So I've done all of what I had to do. I don't walk until about 3 weeks from now. So, there's that. But nonetheless, people do age discriminate. You know what I mean? Let's just face it, they do. They age discriminate. That's on the bad side. On the good side of my degree is there are a lot of people who are looking for someone in the health field. There are jobs all over the place in the health field, and, just in almost every aspect of the health care field. So that's the good thing. It isn't like I went and got a specific, degree that has a narrow, hiring rate and or a high attrition rate. I got something that's pretty ubiquitous and it spans the globe So there's that. But like I said, my age, can be a problem because most of the people popping out of college, they're 21, 22, and some of them jump right on into a master's degree. So they will have an advanced degree and I won't, plus I'm older than they are. So you have healthcare and all this. And I considered all that. In that consideration, this is the reason why I was looking at going towards a specific degree, like being a lawyer. Because no matter how old you are, you can still be a lawyer. You can still practice law. It's not like there's an age limit for a favorable lawyer. There just isn't, But when you're looking at a 25-year-old manager and a 50-year-old manager, you're really going to lean towards a 25. I mean, if you want to get the best bang for your buck, I have experience in management. You can still mold that 25-year-old for the next 20 years. Me, I'm looking not even to work for 20 years. I don't even know if I'll be here. So, I understand all of those demographics. So I wouldn't be mad at somebody. It is age discrimination, but I wouldn't look at them and go, I am all the way mad at you, because I'd be like, I completely understand. It hurts, but it is what it is. Like, it's a fact of life. You get older. You can't really. So, like I said, with all of this in mind, I was thinking about this the whole time. Like, this, if you don't prepare yourself for that, when it happens to you, you're going to be highly upset. But you can't do nothing about it except for gear yourself towards jobs that just won't do that. That's it, and that's all. Now, the reason why this is such a problem is because there are a lot of people who are going back to college, and they are the untraditional college student. And now you have free universities that are popping up everywhere. People are like, you can come, and these are accredited. Now, there are different accreditations in the healthcare field. There are schools that are schools for profit. So when you hear the University of Phoenix, like so-and-so got the degree from the University of Phoenix, the University of Phoenix is a school for profit. You have to understand that. They're trying to profit off of you. Okay, there is a school for profit. They do not have Allied Med. So if you're looking for the qualifications in Allied Med, if you're trying to be some type of physical therapist or healthcare manager and you need Allied Med qualifications, you cannot go to University of Phoenix. They will not accept you as far as the job that you come to. And you try to walk into one of these hospitals and they're looking for Allied Med. As soon as they read what university you went to, it's a no-go at this station. That's what's going to happen to you. And a lot of people don't realize that. I didn't even realize it because I was going to University of Phoenix and took a couple classes. I didn't realize it until I started asking about specific degrees. And I went and I asked about 6 different schools. I called OSU, I called OU. I just called about 6 or 7 different schools. And that's how I landed at the school that I was at, and was like, I know if I get a degree from here, I'll be accepted all over the country and out of the country because it is Allied Med. I already know this. So I have to speak on things like this because I know there's a lot of young people all the way down to like 11 and 12 that watch my channel. And this may not be a very sexy or a hot topic to a few people, but nonetheless, I feel if a couple of people stumble upon this channel and listen to it, then they can start asking some of the important questions so they don't waste the money like I did. Like, it's just a waste of money. And I don't have money to waste. Neither do you. You don't want to waste your time. That's another thing. Money you can get back, but your time, you can never get it back. So all the time I was going to University of Phoenix, I was wasting time, and I had no idea. And this is one reason why I'm talking about things like this. Now, as far as advanced degrees goes, and hello to you people who are watching me, as far as advanced degrees goes, like I said, if you're going to get an advanced degree, be specific. Now, I was looking on job sites, and when I was looking on job sites, they were, a lot of them would say healthcare manager, yada, yada, yada. but we're looking for somebody who has, they say preferably a master's. You already know if you walk in an office and somebody has a master's and you don't, it's lights out for you. You're going in file 13. It just is what it is. It is what it is. Also, an advanced degree, it takes 2 years. In some cases, it takes 2 years. So you're looking just at 2 more years of your life. It's just like, why not get it? You know what I'm saying? Why not do it? If you have the money and the time to do it, why not do it? Now, there's a whole student loan thing. Listen, there's a lot of grant money out there. And now that, my last class ended Monday. Today, I think, is Wednesday. Okay, I've already started my search for grants. I've already started. Matter of fact, I started it before Monday. But as soon as I do a couple of things around the house and get my house in order and cleaned up, and a lot of stuff is out of order because I just was writing papers and doing math. As soon as I get my area together, I am going full-fledged grants. And I already been watching videos and stuff like that. Listen, people, there is a grant out there for every single person. There just is. There's some grants out there for people who make under $1 million. That's the requirement. You have to make under $1 million. It's like, come on. There's a grant out there there's grants out there for people who are illegally in this country. Okay, there's just a grant out there for everyone. And like I said, I've already started the process. I actually have to do some stuff with my taxes and get that all straight. I was on the road yesterday trying to track down people to help me get that together. I'm already in full swing. I feel like I'm in my 20s again because I'm really not taking a break. I'm trying to and keep on rocking. Another thing is I might end up getting an MBA and still end up going to law school simply because of my age. The MBA, of course, will make you, look a lot more attractive. But with the time that I have on my hands right now, it just behooves me to go ahead and get an advanced degree. It's not going to hurt me at all. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in that situation. I would rather go to law school first, but nonetheless, if I can't, because there's a lot going on with law school, the LSAT and then all this other stuff. It's a long, it's not an easy process, just like calling a school and jumping into grad school. It just isn't. And I figure I can do both. I can prepare to go to law school and get my MBA at the same time. And that's what I want to do. That's what I think I'm going to have to do. So at least have something to fall back on. Now, here's another thing. Being that my age is a factor, I can open up my own LLC. I'm saying that because you don't need a degree to have an LLC. You don't. But a degree helps. It says that I have disciplined myself in this area, and if you need this type of attention, pay me and I will go ahead and take care of this for you because this is what I'm, disciplined in, just like hiring a lawyer. So I am looking at starting my own LLC or something along that line. You know what I mean? I will be doing more videos on it because I'm going to take specifics in healthcare management and I'm going to start making videos about that, among all the other stuff that you guys like to hear. But nonetheless, it being that it's a huge and growing field, there's a lot of things in the healthcare field that, those young ladies had degrees in public health is what they had. So I'm looking at that. And public health, the way I look at public health, they can pretty much do everything. But then there's healthcare management. It's kind of on top of that. And still, anyway around, you need a manager of some type in the healthcare field. So public health is a very attractive field. If you guys want to get into that, it's buzzing right now. It's just buzzing. Those are just some things about it. Somebody who's thinking about getting an advanced degree. Is it worth it? It all depends on who you are actually, because some people will be like, yeah, it's worth it. But it really depends on who you are. Like, my age is a thing. And there are a lot of non-traditional people who are graduating now. They don't want to just go home and sit on the couch. It's just like, okay, I got a degree just to say you got a degree. Like, there's no ticker tape parade because you have a degree. There just isn't. You know what I'm saying? You have to still go out and make something happen. And you have a lot of people 40 and 50, 60 years old. They're just like, I'm not going to go and work for some corporation. Like, they're not going to look at me and say, yeah, you are our prime directive. It just isn't, because we have too many issues. We have healthcare. It's just like, okay, so hiring a woman and hiring a man, two different demographics. When an employer looks at a woman, he already, especially a younger woman in their 20, 22, 23, he's already thinking, or she's already thinking, pregnancy is definitely a possibility. That is a huge possibility. Not if they can get pregnant, it's more like when. Why? Because leave. They're going to have to spend so much time away from the job. So there's a lot that's going on with women that just isn't going on with men. So in the nursing field, you're finding a lot more men are being hired, and they're actually getting paid more. Why? Because the female nurses can't lift up the people, the heavy people that, flopping around or whatever. The female nurses, you need about 2 or 3 of them to do it. A guy can just grab somebody by behind, under the armpits and do the whole. So they're paying men more for that. And that's understandable. It just is. Now, to a woman's credit, truthfully, they pay attention more than we do. They just do. Their attention to detail is pretty much ingrained in them, to me. They just notice everything. It's just something that they have that we don't. We can glaze right over a whole doggone, issue real quick, and a woman can pick up pretty much everything about this. This is why you find a lot of women who are secretaries, and a lot of people who want a woman. Even a woman will say, I want a woman secretary, because of the attention to detail is just innate. It's just in them. They just have it. Now, it doesn't say that men don't. And it doesn't say that a woman can't be as strong as a man. It's just saying there are natural aspects of women and men that they have their advantages and disadvantages. So you'll find more women doing certain jobs because they're just better at it. You'll find less, and you'll find more men doing certain jobs simply because the benefit of having that man there it's just more beneficial to have somebody who can do those things. It's just the way that we're built. So those are some things that you're looking at, like I said, when you're coming out of school and when you're older. So, an older man, I'm 50, I'm still strong physically, but can I do all that bending and stuff like that? No, I can't. Now, if I was 25, 30 years old, it's nothing to me. I wouldn't even think twice about it. Just let's go. But now, see, there's the difference. So that edge, I've lost that edge simply because I'm older. It is what it is. Now, here's the thing. Females at a certain age stop having children. So you're looking at the benefit of hiring an older female. I mean, it just, like, all of this is really going on in the world. It's going on in the job market. People are looking at people basically as robots. Like, what can this robot do for me, and how long can they do it? It is what it is. There's still, of course, the glass ceiling between men and women, and it's just crazy. And, the people who are getting less pay, even though they're working just as hard, so there's still those demographics that you still have to face. There is an upper echelon, and it just works its way down to who's getting what. So you got the white people, the Asians, the black people, and the Mexicans, or the Hispanic-speaking Americans. And that's the demographic. So it just is what it is. Hopefully it'll change, because it should. But, it is what it is. So I can't walk into an office and expect to get the same pay as a white person, a white man, my same age, with the same degree. They may say that this job pays a certain amount, but when they interview him, they'll say this job pays $60,000 a year. When they interview me, they'll say this job pays $45,000 a year. You ever notice how the payments or some of, okay, if you go online and look at the job that they want, they'll tell you what the job does, job description. Then they'll tell you what they're looking for from you, your qualifications, and this, that, and the third. Then they'll say equal opportunity employer because that's the law. But nonetheless, what they used to have was how much the job paid. Now, what you will see on one of these websites is what the average is. So that's very interesting to me because now when I look at a job, I'm like, okay, well, what is a healthcare analyst? Like, what do they make? And then I have to Google it and try to find out what the average is on what they make. So when you walk into these jobs, they can easily give one person and say this is how much it pays, and the next person they can raise that $15,000 a year easily, and it's not illegal. So they think. Here's the thing about it: until those two people talk, then they're just like, that's discrimination. So that is illegal. But, they think they can get away with it, especially at will states, which I live in at will state. So there's just some things for as far as older people who just got a degree and are like feeling like they can just run out there and get right back in the market. A lot of times what you're going to find is an older person's going to create a market. And that is the benefit, one, of being older and already seeing a bunch of stuff in the working field, and two, of having a degree. Okay. Not to say that people who don't have a degree can't do this, but I wouldn't expect to see people who don't have a healthcare degree of some type saying that they're a healthcare consultant. I can see the secretary doing that, but I couldn't see the CEO saying, I'm a healthcare consultant. But I can see a mechanic saying, I'm a mechanic, and opening up a shop. You know what I'm saying? But still you need certifications from there. But you got your backyard mechanic, but you have people who are, I guess, doing shady stuff in the healthcare business, that type of thing, but that's illegal. They're doing illegal stuff in the health, you know what I'm saying? And they don't have a degree. You have your backyard mechanic, that's not illegal. So you see kind of where I'm going with that. So like I said, you have older people who pretty much don't want to be the 9 to 5 anymore. They don't want to go out and work for, Joe Schmo company and, think that they're 25 again. It just, no. But there are people who are actually hiring older people. One of them is the government. The government is specifically looking for older people because of healthcare fraud. They are really trying to curb the amount of healthcare fraud that's happening within the United States. And they're calling on any and everybody, but they specifically was looking for people who are older, I'm not really sure why that is, but I actually seen an ad like that. It surprised me that they were looking for people in their 40s and 50s, for healthcare fraud. Now, another thing you can do is become an ombudsman. An ombudsman is pretty much a tattletale for the tattletale. He is or she is the person that you go to, that the whistleblower goes to. So if you're working at a nursing facility or a hospital or something, and you constantly seen a individual who's doing shady stuff, it's shady, it's federally illegal, and they've been doing it for a long time. And you're just like, I can't lose my job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in touch with an ombudsman. That ombudsman can be, you can get their attention by email. You can walk into their office. You can set up a private meeting with it, anything. You can do all that. But once you start talking to that ombudsman is going to record the conversation, is going to take that conversation to the federal government. Now, when that happens, you will not be named. It's completely anonymous. You don't have to be named or anything. Let's just say that there is a legitimate case. They call an ombudsman. In that case, if I was to be one, what I do is write the federal government, or I can walk into their office, or write the federal government and say, this is the information that I have, so on and so forth. They take that information, they look at it thoroughly within, I don't know what the allotted time is, that hospital or healthcare facility is now under investigation. So that's how that works. If they catch the people committing these healthcare fraud crimes, and the amount of the crime is within the federal level, which is $2,500. Usually anything under that is in the state level. When you get to about $2,500, it gets into the federal level. So I used this analogy before. If grandma, wants a new wheelchair and it's $500, it's a good chance she's not going to be sitting in jail, but the federal government will fine her, and as in they want their money back, the $500, and then certain things take place. If it's a younger individual, you can still be looking at jail. Grandma could be looking at jail time. Okay, but that's usually handled on a state level, you know what I'm saying? Until it gets to that 2005, then you're looking at a federal level. Okay, and another thing about federal crimes is if they put you in jail, there is no speedy trial. I'm going to say that again for those who have come across this video and think about doing some federal crimes. There is no speedy trial. This means that the federal government can have you in jail for 2-3 years before you even get a trial. That's not good. Okay, that's not good at all. All right, just want to let y'all know that. So anyways, moving on. So that is a position of an ombudsman. And I think this is what the government is looking for. I think they're also looking for inspectors. People are always looking for food inspectors, especially now that everything is viral, and you've seen what happened with the Popeyes, the young lady who was working there, and the manager told her, just step on the roach. Just it's a roach. It's a German cockroach. There pretty much millions of them in here, but you can't see them all, but hey, just step on that guy because we need to feed the people. Let's go. And then the whole place was a mess. They shut that place down. Okay. That place can easily fall under a federal investigation. Why? Because there are laws that are created to protect your food, FDA laws, even though the FDA is, sketchy in some areas, but nonetheless, there's FDA laws, So they could easily have somebody who is contracted and or the federal government walk into that place, shut the whole thing down. This is what happens sometimes with restaurants, and you have a health inspector. They can walk in there and see something on the floor and then just pretty much shut the whole place down. Will not be open the next day until they get their act together. Now, of course, this hurts whoever is managing and or who the owner of their restaurant is. It hurts them terribly because the revenue is not coming in while they're shut down, and the investigation, and then clean up and all this. I used to be a cook, so all that good stuff. Nonetheless, I'm just saying there are still some positions out there that you don't have to be this wide-eyed, bushy-tailed 21-year-old coming out of college to be. You just don't. You can be a 50-year-old health inspector, and nobody's going to scoff at that. They're probably going to think you've been doing it for years. You'd be like, nah, I just decided to, contract myself out. I have a healthcare management degree, and, they give you all of what you need, you know what I'm saying? And you start looking through all this information, and you know exactly what to look for. So there's just some things there. So it's not all bad, you know. Plus, if you're 1099 instead of W-2, there are some benefits for you. There's some detriments too. W-2, they're going to take the taxes out. 1099, you have to take your own taxes out. This is why you hear a lot of rappers, and singers, and a lot of people who go bankrupt because they didn't pay their taxes, because those people are 1099. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're your own island. You need to pay the federal government, you know, Wesley Snipes, Lauryn Hill, or you're going to run into financial trouble. And some of them don't want to do that, especially when they have hit movies or hit albums out, because the amount that is accumulated is colossal. You know, so, but there's that. So it's just some more information. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, because I think that, you know, when you go through something, you should talk about it, and people should be like, okay, I don't want to go through that, or thanks for the information, so on and so forth. And I'm going to be using YouTube kind of archivally. Is that a word? Archival, as an archive of my journey to, you know, my education journey to where I'm going to be and what I'm going to end up doing, whether it is law school or not. I still hunger for education. That's just that. Like, I still want more education. Some people be like, nah, I don't want to get a master's. What I don't want to do is get a doctorate. And I thought about doing that. I wanted to be Dr. Powell, but to me, being overeducated is dangerous. And, but there are needs for that much education, but I don't think there's a need for it in the healthcare field as far as management. Like, you don't need to have a doctorate, even though there are people who do, big ups to them, in the healthcare field as far as healthcare management to be successful. All right. You're looking at $120,000, $30,000. You don't need to be a doctor to do that. You don't need to have a doctorate to do that. You can do that with an MBA, and sometimes, you know, with just your regular bachelor's. Guys, got any questions, you can ask me. Also, you know what? I got rid of a lot of my books, but one I didn't get rid of is the one talking about the federal government. I sold a lot of my books back. I think one's talking about FEMA and stuff like that. I find this to be really interesting. And although I didn't have to read through the whole thing, the Homeland Security, you know, I think everybody left. Can you hear me okay? I think everybody left. Good old YouTube. Yeah. All right. I think everybody booked it because my internet cable came loose. I'm going to open up. I'm going to do another one where I'm just going to do some music. Okay.